to get coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm over by the end of Adams Street, over by like the library.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of cutting through the vineyard into town. And I get a call, and it's Jean-Luc Naret, and he says, Christopher, this is the last call we're making today. I want to tell you, congratulations, you got 3 stars. And listen, you can say what you want about the validity of these awards or whatever. We all poo-poo it all and understandably agree that it isn't the modus operandi. It's not the reason for being.
Yeah.
But when you put the time in and you deal with the shit that we deal with,
yeah,
and there is a concrete, tangible reward.
You've been knighted.
It's a big fucking
yeah.
deal. And it was a highlight of my life. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. Not because, it's not about necessarily somebody else's opinion. It's about, it justifies to some degree the struggles.
Yeah, and all the work you've done. Yeah.
So that night is this Michelin party.
Yeah.
So we go to the city. We're at we got a room at the Four Seasons. Someone associated with Meadowood was associated with the Four Seasons, and he got a room at the Four Seasons. So we're there drinking, and the party starts at 7, but it's 7:30. I'm like, I'm not going to go when the party starts.
Yeah.
My cell phone rings. It's the director of the Michelin. I'm like, dude, where are you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, the party, you need to be here. So it was over at the Cliff. It was at the Cliff Hotel. So we get a cab, go to the Cliff Hotel. I couldn't find it. We're up in elevators. We're all these. Finally, we find the thing, and I'm ushered into a room with Jean-Luc Naret and Thomas Keller. Because at the time, Thomas was the only other 3-star.
Yeah.
And they take in my mind's eye, in my memory, I'm walking with them, my arms were in each other. How should I say this? They're
they just hooked arms with you.
Yeah, hooked arms. Exactly.
That's fucking awesome.
I walk into this room.
Yeah.
And I look around this room, and it's every chef I've ever admired. I mean, I remember seeing very clearly. I remember looking at David Kinch. I remember looking at all these people, and it was everyone's cheering. I mean, it literally was that dramatic.
Yeah.
And it was. Thomas has always been very good at that, sort of putting the emphasis on me or on other people.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He kind of does that, and that was kind of what was happening. And him and Jean-Luc could have walked me into this room, and I was just I'm a 32-year-old chef.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these people who are much older, who I'd always respected, and I'm sitting next to fucking Thomas Keller, and the two of us, and was the case for many years, with only 3-star restaurants in California.
Yeah.
It was very, very dramatic, and I never forgot that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure the party that followed was
nuts. It was fun. It was good. It was
crazy.
Good. Yeah.
All right. So like we were saying before, you get your 3 stars, you went to the ceremony party and everything like that. Next day, it's okay, I have 3 stars. Now you're defending them, right? Is that what you thought of, or said, I'm going to do what I do?
I've never looked at it like that.
Okay.
I mean that in all sincerity. I've never looked at it like that. Because I've always understood it as, if I keep pushing towards something I want to, if I keep doing what I believe is right, and we are pushing towards something we believe in, the rest will take care of itself.
Will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, it's a boring life
for sure.
To maintain.
Mm-hmm. Now, you rebuilt the restaurant, you have 3 stars. At this point, you start to see a lot more clientele, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Over the years that I worked there, I saw a lot of celebrity and all that coming in. So that must have been pretty cool for you to...
Yeah, I mean, if there's regrets I have, and I have some, it's that I always kept my head down during that time. I never used all of that to catapult myself into a different echelon of notoriety.
Yeah.
And maybe I should have.
Yeah.
And I'm still that way. I'm still I just don't do those things well. It's just not my personality. So I kept my head down, and I think we got better and better and better. But there's a limit to how big you can get simply through the quality of your work.
Yeah.
And the younger chefs get that.
Yeah.
And that's why they crush it on social. That's just not me, So, but we got busier and busier and busier.
Who were the sous chefs when you got your 3 stars?
Kim. So when Detmer left, he had been my rock. And he was only there for maybe a year and a half after upon opening. There was no one who was going to step into that role. So I promoted I promoted Pancho, who had been with me for a long time. And then I promoted a new young lady named Kim Floresca. Mm-hmm. And I made them both sort of sous chefs at the time. So over the years we grew our sous chef
Yeah.
corps. When we up until a few months ago, we had like really 4 or 5, and
Yeah.
we counted Charlie and all the things we had happening. But really, at the beginning, it was I remember trying to convince Meadowood I needed 2 sous chefs.
Yeah.
With 3 stars.
Yeah. Now, Pancho and Kim at this point are super hungry. Like they're like, was there an animosity there, or were they just like, let's fucking band together and do this?
I'm hard to work for, as you know.
Yeah.
So I think there was enough to keep everybody busy.
Yeah, for sure.
To not start cannibalizing each other.
Yeah, I can see that. And she was your first CDC?
Yeah, then she sort of transitioned into a CDC role.
Heard that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know any other 3-stars that have female CDC.
Well, we've only had 4 CDCs in totality, and 3 of them have been females.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think there's any other restaurant that has that track record at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's really a conscious thing, other than I think oftentimes the potential for great management amongst women is better.
I think they're better than us, dude.
They're better.
Because when I went to the decision to work for you, it was either Atelier Cren or the restaurant at Meadowood. Right. And just because Atelier Cren had a female chef.
Right. And
I'm like, that's a different perspective that I could never know unless I, go under her wing or whatever. And then what drew me over to Meadowood was obviously the beauty and the food, and I had looked at all these videos all the time, and was Chef Cat. It was like, oh, I have the ability to go to this place, beautiful place, get everything I ever want, and have a female there to oversee what the hell I'm doing.
You regretted that decision.
Oh, man, no. I mean, she whooped my ass into shape, and awesome. You guys, both of you guys. But when Kat started as a cook, she came from Melise, no?
Yeah, Josiah Citron probably has a different...
You poached a couple people, huh?
Well, dude, I swear to God, and I would not say I poached anybody. I would say that they created this system of like, everyone kind of knew each other. So I did an event down with Josiah for what I cannot remember for the life of me. I think it was some charities thing. I met Kat.
Yeah.
And she wanted to move up to the valley, so I hired Kat, and then right behind her was John.
Yeah.
And they swear they were not. There was nothing.
They were not dating at that time.
It was bullshit. And then after John was probably Coleman, who was really young.
Yeah.
And Howard. No, there was
Howard Coe.
Was Howard Coe at
Yeah,
Melise?
Howard Coe.
Yeah, Howard was at Melise.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Eloy
was at Melise.
Yep.
So we had like 5 Melise guys.
5 Melise guys there.
Which, it's a testament to Josiah, who's a great chef and runs a really rigorous kitchen.
Yeah.
That like those are the people who really thrived at.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would talk to Kat about her time at Melise, and she was like, just the sauce work alone
was
like
a tough kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Tough kitchen.
But she was like, that was the place where we all learned what's up, and they gave me some of that rub from that place for sure. So you name your first CDC, Chef Kat, and then
Kim.
Or Chef Kim. I'm sorry, and then later after that, sort of down the road, after Kim's kind of leaving. What do you see happening there? Like, what's going through your mind?
As time goes on, at the beginning, someone who is important to you and they leave, it's like panic.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know if I can do this without that person. What happens over time when you build up the right kinds of systems is the systems and the history of the thing guide the place.
Yeah.
They
take care of itself.
And I do not mean to say by any stretch of the imagination that anybody can step into that role and it's going to be fine. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying talent comes more easily. It's easier for people to be successful. When you're building something, you are forming it out of clay. You are forming it out of nothing. And it's really hard. And you need people who are going to run towards the bullets to do that. You need people who are just crazy.
Yeah.
And this place is like that.
Yeah.
You know that. But in time, I don't have that panic. I feel confident with the history and the scaffolding of what we built. And you make sound, cautious, calm decisions to keep growing and evolving. So what always happened, there was always a next up. I never, ever hired a CDC from the outside.
Yeah.
The only sous I've ever hired from the outside was Kim in 13 years. It never even occurred to me.
Oh, so she got hired on as a sous.
She applied as a cook.
Okay.
And she had a great resume.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and she's
fucking
ferocious.
Worked all over the world.
Yeah. And she's ferocious.
Yeah.
And my thinking at the time was, Poncho's been with me a while, but he's a little green. Kim has seen the world. Let's put them together.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
They can learn from each other.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, I forgot to. Where were we? Must have been all that pot we smoked when we were younger. So Cat becomes CDC,
right?
And then you always said there was a next up. I remember you would refer to the cold room as the bullpen,
right?
And be like, whoever, like, if somebody fell down during service, right. Be like, well, who's the next guy? Let's go. Pancho leaves. At that point, I am working there.
Did you work with Pancho at all?
Yeah, I did. For like 4 months, maybe. The last thing we did was the...
Event at the Reserve?
No, that one was the first event, but wine auction. We did 1,200 covers of our food.
Is that where Pancho yelled across the room, across the field to Richie?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, that was that one. There was a lot of... There was tensions flying at that event. We did 1,200... I mean... Yeah. Look, guys out there listening, you have no idea, like, the level of perfection that Chef wanted doing 5 covers or 1,200 covers. We peeled like it was like 5,500 butterball potatoes.
What was it for?
It was the sorrel potatoes.
Oh yeah.
The sorrel potatoes. So it was puree.
It's for charity. Just
yeah, this is for charity.
1,200 is for charity. Yeah. That's not for profit.
But it was insane. And I remember at some point I looked up, and there was like 400 cooks with their heads down, just everyone's just going high energy, yelling at each other. It was nuts. It was like I was so happy that I did that event. It was crazy. But when I showed up to the restaurant, I remember talking to you. I was like, "Hey, I'm David, and I'm from this restaurant in Rhode Island, and it's a farm to table restaurant." And you're like, "I'm pretty sure every restaurant is a farm to table restaurant." And I'm like, "Damn it! Like, I fucked this up," And then you're like, "You know what? You can stay." You're like, you gave me to Howard Coe, and you're like, "If he fucks anything up, he's gone." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" So, and at this point, I had worked really hard at these restaurants in Rhode Island, but I took a month off. I went to Puerto Rico and ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and gained 30 pounds. It's the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And I go to fucking work at your restaurant, and I'm like, I can't even get anything done. It's like, I don't even know how I got the job. But I remember that you pulled me on the walk-in, and you were like, taking a chance on you. This was the 28th of December. And
what year?
I think it's like the end of 2013.
2013, right.
The end of 2013. Because I had walked in during 12 days, and Tartine was there, and Kinch was the next day.
I got you.
And that's when I always tell this story. I remember looking over at David Kinch's board, and there was like $4,000 worth of black truffles that he's just chopping. And I'm just like, they just take truffles here, and they, because the restaurants I came from in Rhode Island, it was like, you slice them, and that's it. Like, you don't do anything. And here we are at this 3-star, like, you chop them and put them in the chicken jus. And I'm like, what? Just blowing my mind with all these things.
What was your impression when you first walked in?
When I first walked in the kitchen, I was like, this is beautiful, but these fucking lights are so bright that I can't not look up. It's like, is this so we purposely just look down and work harder? Like, I didn't get it.
Brighter than other
yeah, it was like a baseball field.
Right.
It was very bright. It was like boom.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the cold room, and the first thing I did for all of 12 days, and probably for the next 2 weeks, is I wrapped goat cheese balls. So I would take the chev, and I'd form it into pucks, and I would basically wrap it in apple leaves. Yeah. And I don't know if that was like my boot camp test, because I would be like freezing in there, because you're only moving your hands, so you're not moving. And I'm like, I wore 2 shirts, and I would still be like shivering. And the guys in there would take care of me, Oscar and Armando. Right. They'd be like, "Where the fuck?"
Bringing you hot broth.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Why the fuck did you move here to work in a refrigerator? Like, you're fucking dumb." And I was like, "They have 3 stars," and they're like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And I was like, it was so funny that they worked there, but they had no idea the caliber of restaurant it was. Right. For them, they were just buffing glasses. Like, they didn't give a fuck. Right. And being in that room with them, and Marcus Krause at the time, who was an intern, who was an ex-Marine, and I was like, the fact that this place attracts people like this, people that want to be better, that's how I knew that I was at the right place. Especially when you had appointed sous chefs like Chef Cat, Pancho, Chef John was just becoming sous chef at that point. And
did you work with Ben?
I never worked with Ben. I think Ben had left.
Okay. You worked with Oliver, though.
I worked with Oliver. Yeah, Oliver was there at the time. And then I remember that you would prep in the middle table.